wish that you continue forever, till the material world ends. That's like a bliss and nectar for us.
Everyone should contribute, Mohit Prabhu.
Yeah, no, yes. See, Mohit Prabhu, you're going to Vrindavan, you preach to people about Prabhupada's, Prabhupada being the guru, Prabhupada's original books. So that's why I'm asking this question, devotees who are, like us, we're in the same boat, we want to help others. And we also want others to benefit, very fast, understand all these things, and this way help others. So that's why you're part of it. Everyone who's participating in our meetings, they have a responsibility. Like these Zoom meetings where, I originally told Shravan Prabhu, you should do this. And then, I was like, then I started doing it. And then there were devotees like Mohit Prabhu, Vinayak, Bhanu Prabhu, they suggested that we should have more devotees participate and tell their side of what's going on. So it was all the devotees' desires to make this expand. So that's why it's expanding. We might not see the result, but devotees are contacting me and contacting others. So there's a lot of people behind the scenes who are pushing for this. So that's why it's going on.
Hari bol, Hari bol. So, Prabhu, I've also made a channel on the same, right? So, whenever I'm handling your videos, those are posted there at my channel. So, I've opened that channel.
Sure. Yeah. Everyone should do it because, this is everyone's responsibility. It's very simple what Prabhupada wanted. And then, we should talk about it and explain the solutions also. Chanting Hare Krishna, following the regulatory principles, this, that, this is, standard. But what about the next hundred and hundreds of years? We see what's going on in Srila Prabhupada's movement, that it cannot continue like this. So it's our responsibility.
The general people, the Aam Aadmi, they think life itself is to suffer. The aim of life itself, I say, dakal ke jeena hai. They don't think that there's no other way out of it. It's like we people, we came into Krishna consciousness. When we chant and we have a different, what do you say? Even the sadhakas also suffer, but the perspective of overcoming it is different. Even though both the one who does sadhana and the one who is not non-devotee, both have the same suffering, but we tend to see it from a different angle of vision. So we don't experience the same, we don't go through the same, so we don't experience the same suffering as the non-devotee does. That's what we have to give to them actually.
Yeah. So that's a very good point. Prabhupada gives an example of how the lion kills and carries the babies in the mouth, so Bhanu Prabhu, your example of this.
Bhanu Prabhu is trying to say is, he's saying this, those who are chanting, they relish their pain in a different way. So they think that this is a Krishna's mercy and this is my karma, right? It is burned very easily. Krishna has given me this pain at this moment very easily and I can digest it. They can digest that pain because they have the knowledge. Other people can't do it. They are suffering at a mental level. The suffering is at the mental level. Physical level, suffering is very low these days. I guess he's trying to clarify this. Yeah.
The highest point is that we're suffering and pleasure, they see the same level. So when it comes to the lower level of that, we can, the sadhana can take care of, even in suffering, he can overcome it by a bit staying at a higher level. So it transmigrates suffering. Those are chanting Hare Krishna 16 times like that. That's what I meant to say.
Sorry, that was Nara Narayan Prabhu called. I just sent him the link. So he'll be joining us soon. Go ahead, Bhanu Prabhu. You were saying that so you're saying the suffering that the devotee goes through and the suffering of the ordinary living entity who's not chanting Hare Krishna or following any regulated principles, the consciousness of these two individuals is totally different. Yes. That's talked about in the Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada talks about it. Two people doing the same, seemingly, the same work. So excellent observation, Prabhu. So okay. Rename. Okay, so Bhanu Prabhu, anything else, Prabhu?
Bro, I had one question. Can you ask two questions which I had, right, Haribol?
Yes,
we had
sure. Yes, ask.
Can you just put on that and just that one paragraph? It will take only 5-10 minutes. Nana Prabhu can explain it again. Yeah.
Okay.
And then Bhanu Prabhu, you have something? Sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
All glories to Prabhupada. Mohit is there, right?
Mohit is here. Jai, yeah. And Bhanu Prabhu is also here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Narayan Prabhu.
Yes, Bhanu Prabhu is here.
I'm very impressed. I'm impressed.
Bhanu Prabhu,
with
go ahead.
too.
Bhanu Prabhu, go ahead. You wanted to say
Rupa's not
something.
there?
Sorry.
Not yet.
I tried calling.
So let
her.
Bhanu Prabhu say something. He was saying something. I interrupted. Yeah,
No, I completed it. You can continue, Prabhu.
Achha.
Okay, Nara Narayan Prabhu. So Mohit Prabhu wanted some clarification regarding some points that were made in the previous meeting. So you ready for it? We can get going.
I am.
Okay.
I am.
Mohit Prabhu, so can I give you the host and you can share which part you want to...
No. You can just open that this letter, the screenshot which I sent it to you, Haribol. Just that screenshot, just that one paragraph, right? That's it.
Okay, 1 second.
Yeah.
All right. Mohit Prabhu, you sent it to me via my WhatsApp, right? Okay.
Haribol.
1 second. 1 second, Nara Narayan Prabhu. Once things get going, I'll unmute you, Prabhu. Let me get the screen loaded, then I will share the screen. Then everyone will start speaking. Let's see, Mohit Prabhu. All right. Actually, one thing, Mohit Prabhu, I just want to make it clear that today this topic about Nityananda Prabhu's descendants not being bona fide, that was talked about in our meeting today. So if you get a chance, you can talk. I mean, you can see the meeting, which we had.
The link I'll go on the channel and see.
In the last 10, you mean in the last 10 minutes?
No. Today, that devotee from Toronto, he contacted me and he wanted to have a ISKCON meeting with me, and Yashodanandana Prabhu was on there too. So he talked about
the Yashodanandana.
Yes, the Yashodanandana. Yeah. So he was talking about how the descendants of Advaita Acharya, one side became deviants and one side was, pure devotees. So Mohit Prabhu has a question in that line that we discussed. So I wanted to.
Okay, it's not my area of expertise. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not an expert in that area, but all I know is that Bhaktivinoda Thakur came and straightened out the damaged line.
Yes, and Prabhupada talks about it in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, so it's not something that is not talked about. So Mohit Prabhu, I have your thing here. I'll share it on the screen so you can comment on it. All right, Mohit Prabhu?
Sure.
Okay, Mohit Prabhu, I will read it and then you stop me and make your point, okay?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So I'll read the first paragraph and then you stop me where things are not clear. Okay, Nara Narayan Prabhu, I'll start reading. At the time of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the Chaitanya Sankirtan movement had been corrupted by the descendants of Lord Nityananda, and Sahajya Baus were aping Mahabhakti by pretending to be in ecstasy, whereas they were rough villains simply out for sex and money while pretending to be followers of Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya. See the Baal Sangeet, Songs of the Madman by
Is
Bhaktivinoda
this what
Thakur.
I wrote?
Yes, that's what you wrote.
Oh, I see.
So, Prabhu, the Chaitanya Sankirtan movement has been corrupted by the descendants of Lord Nityananda. So, Lord Nityananda is himself Lord Balram.
I don't know if it was a
Descendant-
Nityananda or a Dvaita. I don't know who it was.
Okay. Okay.
So, Lord Nityananda can't, I mean, his Lord Balram himself. For example, if someone is
Okay, fine.
a-
But
a pair-
that
a-
should be
a
easy to
father,
sort
right?
out.
So-
I may have given the wrong name,
Okay.
Acha, theek hai.
Can I say
Okay.
something?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Like it's Lord Shiva's son was who is he?
Kartikeya?
No. One son he was born a demon.
Kartika and Ganesha, which son was demon? Prabhu?
I'm not able to remember the name, but he was married to Tulsi Devi.
Okay.
Yes, so it's not necessary that one descending from a pure devotee or a pure
Vishnu
devotee
Tattva.
like a Bhagavan to some extent. It's not necessary that he would be a pure devotee. Not in all cases, it's not necessary, I'm saying. So even Prabhupada's sons are also not pure devotees, descendants. If
And
you
also
take that example.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur's sons. He had some. Bhaktisiddhanta was a pure devotee, but he had other children that were not pure devotees.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Lalit
Got it.
Prasad became a bit of a Sahajya.
Yes, Prabhupada talks about that. Yes, that he was
I
against.
visited him in his place.
Right. Okay. So, Mohit Prabhu, you need any further clarifications about what's being talked about?
Clarification. The senior devotees are saying that there are 5 children, one can go wrong, then what can I say? Yeah. That's the point. I mean,
Okay.
someone coming from Lord Balram,
Yes.
possible for me to digest that he's gone into such things. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Next,
So that's
next paragraph.
okay.
Okay,
Next
so
paragraph.
Can you clarify for me, was that the descendants of Nityananda or of Advaita?
That's a good question. Bhanu Prabhu, do you remember Chaitanya Charitamrita, where I know one son of Advaita Acharya was a pure devotee and one were deviants, meaning that they rejected that. So that can be further researched, unless Bhanu Prabhu knows it.
I recently heard that three sons of Advaita Acharya were not devotees. Somewhere I heard some meeting, maybe in your meeting or
Okay.
program, I don't know.
Okay. All right. So let's continue. We'll figure that out and we'll clear it up with Mohit Prabhu. Okay.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm reading the second paragraph, Mohit Prabhu. By the time
The main thing to understand is that just because a person is a pure devotee and he has even one son who's a pure devotee, it doesn't mean that all his children are pure devotees. And the tattva doesn't matter that much.
There could be not pure devotees in the children also. That could also be possible, right? Yeah.
Okay, then the second paragraph I'm reading. By the time that Gorakishore Das Babaji released the Vaishnava Sampradaya from the restraints of the proper Vaishnava etiquette, and Bhaktisiddhanta had gathered all of the smarter Brahmanas into the Gaudiya Math, tricking them with his astonishingly erudite use of the English as well as Bengali language, Srila Prabhupada then proved the last leg to the core and vital teachings of the Yuga Avatar by creating the ISKCON Krishna Consciousness movement. So Mohit Prabhu, you had some something you wanted to comment or you needed clarification regarding?
So from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had gathered all the Samartha Brahmins into the Gaudiya Matha, tricking them with this astonishing errant use of English as well as Bengali. Srila Prabhupada then provided. So, I mean, it's the same point, right? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was the guru of Srila Prabhupada, the purest devotee, right?
Yes.
He's from Golok Dham. Yeah,
Yes.
just for teaching us, right? So
Well,
then, how Bhaktisiddhanta took? Yeah. Go ahead.
They were walking a very perilous path because
Acha.
the general climate in Bengal was terrible. There was Rabindranath Tagore, there was Ramakrishna, there were all of these rascals who were making a big name for themselves. Yogananda, Vivekananda, these are all big rascals who were attracting lots of people. We have seen in more recent times, what's his name? The guy in, yes, Ramakrishna, but I'm talking about more recently is
himself, non-Nityananda.
Millions of followers.
Sadhguru.
Not Sadhguru. This is not that recent.
Sadhguru is a Shiva devotee, I guess. Yeah.
No, what is this? Satya Sai Baba.
Satya Sai Baba.
Yeah, he got millions of followers, but he himself was a pedophile hermaphrodite. I've heard he was a hermaphrodite, and he was definitely busted for being a pedophile with the children of his top disciples.
Oh, wow.
Pedophile means?
So this is the climate in which we're operating. We're not operating in a sane and simple situation. We're operating in a world which has gone corrupted, mad, dastardly, and everything like that. So we have to take into account that the path of devotional service is extremely narrow, very precise, and it's going off the cliff right now because of the ISKCON GBC. Because they're going off the cliff because they have nowhere else to go. They don't know what on earth to do.
Narayan Prabhu.
Solve their present problems.
Narayan, one second. Mohit Prabhu, you wanted to say something. Please
yes.
Express your concerns.
Satya Sai Prabhu, Satya Sai Maharaj, whatever his name was, he had some siddhis, no? That's why he was popular. So he could, from his mouth, he could take something out, and he had siddhis.
That was a trick which he performed. It was later decoded afterwards.
You're talking about, isn't that Satya Sai Baba from South India, Bangalore area?
Yeah.
He used to do miracles. He used to find gold. He used to find deities made of gold. I mean, he had everything all worked out, and he had accomplices working with him.
So how can you accept him as a devotee of Lord Krishna?
Oh, good God, no. When he was a child, he went to an installation of a Krishna deity, jumped on the altar, stood there threefold bending form, and said that he himself was Krishna. This could not have happened 300 years ago.
Mohit Prabhu, so what was your concern, Mohit Prabhu? I don't think we addressed your concern here. We're talking about...
Just one concern was that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur can't gather the Samartha Brahmins into God and tricking them with us astonishingly. So this line was a bit hurting for me. Who's the guru of Prabhupada? That's it. Yeah. So that's the clarification which I wanted, that maybe Nara Narayan Prabhu must know much better how
he's a contrarian.
Are you talking about Bhaktisiddhanta defeating the Smarta Brahmins?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. When Thakur Bhakti-Vinod was ill, he was ill and had a high fever. He was thrashing around on his bed in like a feverish ranting, screaming out and within the hearing of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, who was probably, I don't know his exact age, but maybe 18 years old or so. He said, where is going to defeat these Smarta Brahmins that are infesting? They're destroying everything. How are we going to defeat them? So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, a good son and actual disciple, in reality, in many ways, he was exactly the disciple of his father. And he took, but we know that he took initiation from Gorkashodas Babaji so that he could become contrarian, so that he could go against the standards. Banu, Haribol. He could go against, he could go against the standards. He could go against the standards of Vaishnava etiquette. And he did. One Prabhupada disciple renounced his initiation to Prabhupada when he found out that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, instead of having an Agnihotra Brahminical initiation, that Gorkashodas Babaji initiated by dipping into the river and coming up with a handful of Ganges mud and putting that in his hands. Ganges mud, no fire sacrifice, no flowers, no nothing. That was the initiation. So this guy, Nitai, he quit the movement. He said, this is not bona fide. They didn't follow the right procedures. So you see, that is not our point. The right procedures are not the right procedure. So getting back to Thakur Bhaktivinoda, he was crying out, will no one defeat these Smarta Brahmins? So this is where I started out with, because I've read that. And Bhaktisiddhanta then went out when his father still was feverish, I think, and he gathered up a 3-day festival or 3-day gathering of the, I think it was called the twice-born Brahmin and Vaishnava and the twice-born Brahmin. I think that was the name of the gathering, but I could be wrong. But that's essentially what it was. And what happened is he went there, and all the Smarta Brahmins were so challenged by his views that he said he could defeat them all and make them into Vaishnavas if they sat there and argued with him. It's a debate. It's like if you go to a court of law, you have 2 lawyers, and one lawyer is intelligent, the other lawyer is intelligent, and they both know the law. So they argue the law until one of them wins, right? That's the way a barrister works. So that's what happened here. And Bhaktisiddhanta sat there, a teenager, I think, or maybe early 20s, but I don't think he was very much older. Couldn't have been, I doubt if he was more than 22. We can find out. And he sat there and he defeated 500 of them.
Narayan Prabhu, just 1 second. Bhanu Prabhu wants to ask a question. Bhanu Prabhu, go ahead. Bhanu Prabhu.
I know, but did you get the point?
Mohit Prabhu.
No, I'm saying, why did they have to be stopped there?
Together and defeated them, but he went on to defeat them again when he became a guru, acharya, and the same sort of people flocked to him because he was so smart. They wanted to be empowered by him so they could become gurus.
Okay. I see. Bhanu Prabhu.
So anyhow, that's the end of that.
Bhanu
wants to ask what?
No, I was asking, why did they have to be stopped? So you answered that they wanted to be gurus. That's the reason?
Can you translate, Ramachandra?
Yes, he said, why they needed to be stopped? Why did Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gather them and then have them become disciples? Is that what you're asking, Manu?
Wait, which time? The first time or the second time?
Why did they need to be controlled by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the Smarta Brahmins? I'm saying.
Okay, which time? The first time or the second time or both times?
I don't know, first time, second time.
The first time his father cried out in a raging fever, delirious fever, said someone has to stop those Smarta Brahmins. So he went out and did it. Later on, he did it to protect Prabhupada. You see, if Prabhupada had gone to India with all of the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta not being his disciples, if they had all been somehow or other, hook or by crook, got their own temples, their own followers, so that they all were in business, essentially in business for themselves, and business is what it would have been, and that's what it turned out to be in the end, even though they did take initiation from Bhaktisiddhanta. If if they had gone out on their own, and Prabhupada came to India with a bunch of really neophyte Vaishnava Westerners who accepted Krishna consciousness without thinking otherwise. They didn't have any Hindu tradition. They didn't have any belief system. They didn't have anything. So they came to India dressed sannyasi, householder lady with sari over the head, not over the shoulder.
Right.
And chanting japa every day, 16 rounds. Kirtan, beautiful kirtans before the Prabhupada melody kirtans, before they started botching up the kirtans. Well, Sahaja kirtans from Bengal. And when they did all of that, the Indians were overwhelmed. Now, if all of those guys that had been the Sparta Brahmins that became the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta, now I'm not saying they were all Sparta Brahmins. Some of them could have been quite innocent, some of them from Vaishnava families. I mean, but they were all neophytes, let's put it that way. Certainly compared to Bhaktisiddhanta, who was the opposite of a neophyte. He was Saraswati, Thakur. I mean, he is beyond everybody. Okay, he was the greatest Vaishnava. So when he was there and he gathered all these disciples, essentially his biggest task was neutralizing them and getting them out of the way. So that when Prabhupada came to India, he would have an open field for preaching, not 50, 100, 200, 300 Brahmins, all of them eager to get American disciples away from Prabhupada.
It was strategically, you're saying strategically, this was arranged like this for Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to appear on his father's order, and he appeared in Jagannath Puri just to clear the field for Prabhupada to come and take birth, preach, and make the Hare Krishna explosion in every town and village.
Yes, this was not a sociological event. It wasn't that this guy did it and that guy did it and this person did it, and it was all just good coincidence, or that maybe they were inspired, or maybe they were Krishna conscious. No, none of the above. This was arranged in advance by Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna. The entire thing was arranged. That's why our GBC guys are criminals. They have taken our minds away from the Sampradaya. They've taken our minds away from the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. They are putting gurus, they're saying, take initiation, so we can control you. That is against the rules. We have no choice but to go back to 1970 and forget everything that happened after 1970, because when a crime is committed, everything after that is still a crime. When a criminal commits a crime in 1970, it's not that you forget about it and say, well, that was way back then. No, if he commits a crime in 1970, he is guilty until judged. And if they judge them, there's no way that they can argue that they did the right thing.
Bhanu Prabhu, do you have any questions or points you want to make clear, or clarifications of how the logic is coming, or how we're going through this?
So they weren't interested in advancing spiritually, but they only wanted to become gurus.
Who? Everybody wants to become a guru.
That's what Hansadura said. Everyone wanted to become a guru. He told me personally like that.
In ISKCON, everybody wants to become guru, and in India, even more so. Anybody that can get two old ladies to give them money can become a guru. That's just what happened. It's the Kali Yuga. It is the degradation. You know, you can say it's not a degradation of Hindu, because Hindu really has no basis. If we ever going to have a deep conversation on Hindu, we're going to have to ask, who does the Hindu believe to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Because my experience with the Hindus that I've met is they believe there's an energy, Brahman, and all these faces of Krishna, Brahma, Durga, Shiva, etc. These are all the ways that certain people are attracted to worshiping that impersonal Brahman. I've never met a Hindu who, if Hindus accepted Krishna the way we do, if they read the first canto and said, okay, I accept that Krishna starts out, then Balaram, then 4 levels of Vishnu, and then after that, all the demigods and everything come out from there, they wouldn't want to worship Durga. They wouldn't want to worship Kali.
Hindus
They
did
would not be
accept
able
Krishna.
to worship Kali. Why do you want to worship a material person?
1 second, Nara Narayan Prabhu. Bhanu Prabhu wanted to say something. Bhanu Prabhu,
Yes,
go ahead.
of course.
Hindus
Bhanu
did
wants to
accept.
say, I want to listen.
Prabhu, Hindus did accept Krishna, and those people who accepted, they're in ISKCON. I'm saying,
No, Nara Narayan Prabhu is saying that the belief system of the Hindus is not bona fide, because first of all, the word Hindu does not appear in any of the Vaishnava literature, nor does Krishna talk about it. So, first of all, it's not a correct word, and secondly,
but you can't even give them the name Sanatana Dharma, because they're not following Sanatana Dharma. You cannot stick them the word Sanatana Dharma also. Only if they are worshipping Vishnu, you can say them to be Sanatana Dharma.
Sanatana Dharma used to be part of the emperor's court of India, but when the emperors were defeated by Alexander the Great and by Cyrus the Great and by the other Muslims, when the emperors were defeated, they were not killed and sent away. They had to bow down to the person that defeated them.
No, by then also, it wasn't the proper Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma means they're ultimately worshipping Vishnu, and they're proper.
Yes, of course. But the Sanatana Dharma was split off from the emperors. So it became just a religion for the people to wander around with, exactly as it is today. People that say Hindu mean I live in India. I was born here. I've been hearing about Krishna since I was born. I've heard about Shiva and Durga and everybody since I was born. So I'm a Hindu, meaning I believe in all the Indian gods. But where is the differentiation to create their function as Sanatana Dharma, meaning part of the Vedic culture?
No,
they were
Vaishnavas are Sanatana. Vaishnavas or ISKCONites are followers of Sanatana Dharma. You cannot say Hinduism is Sanatana Dharma. I mean, it's a coming up idea.
What I am saying, though, is that the Sanatana Dharma that became Hindu was split off from the emperors. It became a popular or personal religion of individual people. You know, the Hindu became a popular religion, not a function of the emperors. You know, at the time when Krishna got married to Rukmini, didn't get married to Rukmini, when Krishna kidnapped Rukmini, he galloped in with his chariot, swept her off the feet. She was on her way to the temple of Durga. Now, Rukmini is Radharani. She is the goddess, the supreme being. She's the consort of Krishna himself. How could Radharani, or in this case, what am I saying? Rukmini. How could Rukmini be walking to the temple of Durga?
Because, like, just as we see, the Rukmini Devi is seeing Durga Devi in connection with Krishna. She's as
Durga at that time was part of the Sanatana Dharma Vedic culture. Remember, this is like thousands of years ago, when the Vedic culture still existed.
What actually is if you look from the correct perspective, everything is right. If if a woman approaches Durga to get a devotee as an husband, that is right.
Yes, now they do, because they're just family religion. Back then, it was the official religion of Bharat, of the Vedic culture. It was the whole Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, with all of that integrated. And that ceased to be when the Muslims defeated the the Vedic emperors
Right.
that were there. You know, there were so many of them, hundreds, maybe thousands. And when they came in and defeated one, he became the servant. You see, there's two choices, like in Western history, somebody came into from Rome to Greece and they conquered, they would kill the guy that was in charge, the king. And if they went to Persia, they would kill the king. That's another story, more complicated, but with Cyrus the Great. But all of those things, they went in and killed the king and took over. Then somebody else would come and kill them, and they would take over. But that's not the way it worked in India. So if, say, Alexander the Great came in and killed, or conquered, not killed, but conquered a empire, he could have killed them all and taken over and become the emperor of that empire. But the emperor said, according to our culture, if you defeat me, I am your servant. So the emperor said, I will be serving you as Alexander, even though you're not part of Bharat, you're not Sanatan Dharma, you are just a powerful man. But I am now being defeated. I am by Dharma, by my etiquette, I must be your servant.
Okay.
You see, does that make sense, Banu?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So then what happens now, that was a long time ago. All of that took place about the time of the 500 years before the appearance of Christ, which means over 2,000 years ago. And I'd say maybe 2,600 years ago. That's all happened.
So one thing, I just want to make sure Mohit Prabhu had a chance to address his concern and he's satisfied with the discussion.
Exactly.
This is very important. This is the most. Just don't think that I'm talking. I want you to be satisfied with any answer.
Satisfied with your
It's not my
answer.
opinion. It is what happened. History. So if you keep on asking or telling or stating facts, and we will work with you. Okay.
Sure, Guru. Always. Hari Bol, Jai.
Excellent.
Mark Prabhu is with us. Hari Bol, Jai. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hey, Mahaprabhu.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hari Krishna.
Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hari
Hey,
Krishna.
Mahaprabhu. Did it work out okay when you dropped me off? That you got it was on
No,
the way
Prabhu,
to-
that's not for the meeting. We got to stick to our meeting. That is
Okay.
after.
That's
Because after the
right.
meeting, you
Alright.
can ask.
That's
Okay,
right.
that sounds very
So-
good. Thank you.
So Bhanu Prabhu, anything you'd like to add, Prabhu, or Mohit Prabhu, or Mahaprabhu? Do you have any philosophical questions, any realizations you want to share?
About the belief systems of Hindus, I
Yes.
saw a post on Facebook which makes sense. Any Hindu, he can believe that there is no God. He can believe in the impersonal aspect of God, or he can be an atheist, or he can worship some 2 or 3 gods, or he can worship his Ishtadev, one of the gods, or he can study Puranas, or there's many things. He's free to go whatever way he is.
Yeah, nowadays, but in the time of the Vedic kings, it was very, very carefully laid out, very carefully structured.
So Bhanu Prabhu, you're saying the word Hindu can basically mean anything nowadays.
Well,
Hindu, it's a word like we people refer to the followers of Christ as Christianity.
Right.
These people named our religion as our system, our way of living as Hindu. So it's a name given. I mean, if you can come up
Okay.
with a different name.
but why right now in Los Angeles Temple, they're having a Shiva Ratri festival.
Hmm.
It's
Okay.
not for the Vaishnavas, it's for the Hindus.
Mm.
Why are they worshiping Shiva if it's a temple of Radha and Krishna? It is
Because it's a Hindu
Rasavasya.
temple.
It will bring about misfortune.
No. It's Lord Shiva is the foremost Vaishnava. It depends on how we see it. Let them see it the way they see it. That's for them. But we have to. It depends.
You cannot do that. You can't go in a Catholic church and worship Durga.
So Bhanu Prabhu, Nara Narayan Prabhu is saying that if it's a Radha Krishna Lord Jagannath temple, that should be the only festivals that they're having, because it's a Hindu. They're trying to please the Hindus. They're doing all this other.
So where is the disturbance coming from?
It's coming from, I think, Nara Narayan Prabhu. Nara Narayan Prabhu, there's some disturbance coming in from your side.
Are you going to be long on the phone?
Hare Krishna, Shreya Prabhu. Nice to have you. Long time you haven't joined, so welcome
Hare
back.
Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna to everybody.
Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Hare
it's been
Krishna,
a very
Shreya.
long time.
We miss
Hare
you.
Krishna,
Released
Mahaprabhu.
already. I don't know.
I miss
We
you
miss
all.
you. Mamma
Yes,
mia.
I've been missing you all.
Who are you
Fantastic.
talking to?
All of you. How are you
To
all
everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
doing? How's everybody doing?
We're doing all right. Our meetings are going on and more people are joining, and the old people are joining. They're coming back. So it's like yourself.
But the main thing is, it is not so much people are coming to the meeting. Everyone is welcome. Any intelligent person is welcome to come to the meeting, obviously.
Try.
But that's not the point. The point is getting to the point of being able to declare that we want the Krishna consciousness movement to go ahead.
Try.
And in order to do that, the only way we can do that is by going back to 1970 and projecting the Krishna consciousness movement as it is.
Hare
As
Krishna.
Prabhupada created it, not the Krishna consciousness movement had nothing to do with unelected GBC. And it had nothing to do with centralization of ISKCON into one international corporation. That has to be
Okay, he's
Nara
cutting out.
Narayan Prabhu's cutting up, yeah.
Yes. So I think he's going somewhere.
Otherwise, we will not be able to go on.
Okay, it's clear.
Prabhupada and I have the opportunity for talking to a fellow who's very important.
What did you say, Nara Narayan Prabhu? Can you unmute yourself? It's saying you're muted. Okay, there you go.
He's trying to.
What did you say? I had the opportunity to do what?
I'm sorry.
You said I had the opportunity to talk to someone?
Oh yeah. You and I both. We've been talking to a devotee who is very much in the center of the terrible structural problem that the GBC is having in India.
Narayan Prabhu, can you get situated and then speak, because it's cutting out. So I'm not sure where you're at, or you're driving or going up the stairs or whatever, but it's cutting out.
No, hopefully it'll get better. I'm in the lobby. Let's see if I can get it to be better.
All right. So Mohit Prabhu, anything else? Shreya Prabhu, how's things going? What you have been up to? You've been reading Prabhupada's books?
Yes, I have been reading Prabhupada's books, and it's getting a lot better and more clearer, because there's so much questions that keeps coming. So the books are actually helping a lot.
Hare Krishna.
How's your son doing? He's doing all right? Is he chanting also?
Yeah, all the time he's here.
Right.
He's being rebellious, as most children.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Wow, Hare Krishna.
Wow, Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
All right.
Hari Bol. Who's this kid? Hari Bol.
This
It's
is
Shreya's son.
Yeah, Shreya's son, and his name is Namah Shivai.
Namah
Fantastic.
Shivaya.
Dandavad Pranam, Namah Shivaya, bro.
You have it
I
done.
wasn't following ISKCON, or I was not introduced to anything related to Srila Prabhupada when he was born. And at that moment, I was an ardent devotee of Lord Shiva, because I had read a lot of things about him, and I kind of throughout that term I kept praying to him, and so I named him also Namah Shivaya, and later understood a lot more about Krishna. So
How old is he?
he's now 7.
Fantastic. Beautiful age.
Jai.
A transforming age, a transformation time for him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Need all your blessings.
Hare Krishna.
Maybe one of these days, Om Namah Shivaya can meet my daughter and my son. Be like, here's Keshav and Brinda.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun. He would get to make some friends there.
Yeah, who knows? You know, they might even see each other in a couple of years. You never know.
Sure, why not?
You can name your daughter.
Nowadays,
Maybe you can name your daughter Hare Krishna.
Whatever Krishna wills. Anything
So
Krishna wills.
you'll end up chanting both the Hare Krishna and Om Namah Shivaya.
Whatever names you take, it's finally Krishna. That's what we understand. Right? Also, talking about Mahashivratri, I just wanted to tell you that Mahashivratri is not about a religious festival as such. At least that's what I've come to know in the last few days. Mahashivratri is all about enhancing your energy in such a way that you get tuned in to the transcendental form, so that you raise your energies to become united with the Supreme. So it's also, I believe that the customs that were followed in India were just to make people get conditioned. I mean, not everybody is intellectually capable of understanding things. So what probably the practices that were being told to be done, you're not supposed to do this, do it this way, all those things, I think, were just ways of conditioning people, so that whether you like it or not, like how we do for our children, we tell them just do it because I know what the results are. Similarly, I think this is the way they were trying to bring in a way of the meditativeness, so that you get more tuned in. It's all finally coming down to Shiva. And also, Ramchandra Prabhu, what I've realized is all sorts of schools, various schools, no matter what they teach, they're all referring to the Bhagavad Gita. So I was confused, like how can the same text be referred to? You're able to hear me?
Yes, I muted Nara Narayan Prabhu because there's some noise coming. So yes. Go ahead.
So by reading or hearing about different schools, what I've realized is they all refer to the Bhagavad Gita. So there was this question in my head: how can one text be interpreted in so many different ways? How can it always be, leading to Krishna again? And then what I've come to understand is Srila Prabhupada is the best method, because he follows the Bhakti Gyan, right? Bhakti Yoga. So finally, all the schools are just steps to reaching to that mode of being more devotional towards the cosmic Supreme. So that finally I got to know that it is best to continue following Srila Prabhupada and the books, because it was giving me the next level of understanding which I was seeking. So I'm very happy I did not go in the wrong path or did not follow something else which was not correct.
Hare Krishna.
Has anybody felt like this? I mean, have you heard any other schools or gone through any other texts, anything like that? Anyone?
Thank you, Sushigo. What are you doing, Nathan?
I think we've
Okay.
all felt like this, Shreya.
So you're saying that Krishna consciousness or Prabhupada's books and Shivaratri, the Mahashivaratri, and the commentary of Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is, and
Mahashivaratri is the birthday and the marriage day of Lord Shiva and Parvati.
Acha.
So when we are supposed to be awake all the night, and we are, I think that what the energy, Sadhguru, he explains that the energies in all the universe are at the peak level. So you have to be in a straight, your spine has to be straight so that the energies flow upward. That is the explanation in a non-shastric way, if you go by that. But we need to look at it from a Vaishnava point of view. Shiva is the foremost Vaishnava. It's his day of marriage and his appearance day on earth.
Jai. So philosophically, Srila Prabhu, can you summarize what you said about the various Gitas and Prabhupada's Gita, how they're same and different? I kind of got.
I'll tell you.
Yes.
I'll tell you. Earlier, there was this time when I was reading Ramakrishna Mission books and, Swami Chinmayananda.
Right.
And then there was Swami Sarveshananda. They're all from different schools, actually. And they all follow different methodologies to finally give you the realization of God. And when they do that, they try to go through a process of self-awareness. So when they talk about self-awareness, we are trying to answer the question, who am I? And when we do that, we come to understand what our relationship is with the earth, with God, who we are exactly, and how it is. And finally, all of these schools, what I've seen or noticed is they conclude saying Bhakti Yoga is the best method to reach God, which is what Srila Prabhupada follows, right? I mean, we follow the Bhakti Marg, where we are talking about devotion to Krishna and doing the chants, doing the regular practices as prescribed. So all these other schools are only steps which are finally leading to bhakti. That is what I understood. They say these are just methods, these are just other ways of realizing the self. But when it comes to the connection between human and the supreme, it's finally the bhakti marg.
Okay.
Did I answer your question, Prabhu?
Yes, you did. So
okay.
Let's see here if Nara Narayan Prabhu can speak. Mahaprabhu. Also, if anyone wants to speak, they can. Banu Prabhu, you still there?
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
What do you think about Srila Prabhu's explanation of how?
Oh my God.
Yeah, excellent. She's right. Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate thing. When they're leading you to Bhakti Yoga, Prabhupada is saving time and directly starting you on that path.
Jai.
So they might be telling you various theories and other practices which might ultimately lead to Bhakti Yoga. But we are starting from on the process on perfecting Bhakti Yoga over here. This purely Bhakti Yoga, Prabhupada's mission, Krishna consciousness.
Jai. Okay, Narayan Prabhu, you've been coming, but a lot of background noise was coming, so I muted you. So you might have.
Hey, can I speak? Can I speak?
Yes, now you can. Yes.
Okay. I would like to point out that what Shreya has described is wonderful, but we have to take it from, it's a cultural and religious approach to Krishna consciousness. Now, culture and religion are part of Krishna consciousness, and as we know from the sectarian essay by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that the minute that there is a pure message, it becomes acculturated by the people who hear it.
Yes.
So we're talking about Hindus, we're talking about Indians, we're talking about Americans who became devotees. We're talking about all of that. However, one thing I'd like to take into account for our point of view, and this is how I learned Krishna consciousness and never had a need to go anywhere else mentally or intellectually, is read the first part of the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. It describes how Krishna is in Krishna Loka. Shiva is not in Krishna Loka with Krishna. Durga is not in Krishna Loka. Kali is not in Krishna Loka. Brahma is not in Krishna Loka. Radha and Krishna and all of their pastimeous activities with cowherd boys and gopis and everything, cows and everything, they're in Krishna Loka. You see, so where do the others come in? So let's just say that from Krishna, he has his first expansion, that's Balaram. I mean, from the Hindu point of view, they could say, Balaram who? You know, who is Balaram? What's Balaram? Well, you have to read the first canto. Radha and Krishna are there, then Krishna's first expansion is Baladev, Balaram. From Balaram...
Hey, slow down, you got to turn over here. Slow down.
No, I don't. Fuck. I know how to get there.
You got to go right here and turn.
No, I'm not going to. So, I'm driving like a sane person. So anyhow, hello, Prabhu, so that
Go down one road, please.
I know how to get there. You're interrupting an international call.
Intercontinental call.
Okay. I was tricked into doing this. So what happens is that, so you have Krishna, Baladev. Baladev expands again as Vasudeva Vishnu. Then there's a second Vishnu, a third Vishnu, and a fourth Vishnu. So if you want Vishnu, that's how you find Vishnu. So how do you tell which Vishnu is which? It depends on where their forearms have different ornaments and weapons. And there's four possibilities because they have four arms each. So when you see the four arms in each one, you can say which Vishnu it is, but those Vishnus all expand. For instance, the Vasudeva Vishnu, one of his, so because it expands from the first Vishnu from Balaram, we can see that he's fourth level from Krishna in terms of expansion or incarnation. He is himself the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he comes in a limited form. Okay? So the next point is, if you're getting down to Shiva, Shiva only occurs in the material world. Shiva does
Can I
not
comment on
occur-
this, Prabhu?
What?
I mean, about Lord Shiva, Sadashiva is there in the spiritual world and is non-different from Vishnu. Sadashiva is Advaitacharya. Advaitacharya is same as Sadashiva and Mahavishnu.
Advaitacharya is Vishnu.
Sadashiva also.
Advaitacharya is Vishnu.
He's also Lord Shiva, if you could check it
No.
again. He is Sadashiva. He is Shiva also.
Well, but then he appeared in the material world, right? So the thing is to understand properly that Shiva does not appear in the spiritual world. You
He's
know,
Gopishwar. He's one of the gopis. He has a role in Rasa Leela. He's Gopishwar, Lord Shiva.
the gopis are Lord Shiva?
No. He's Gopishwar. He's one of the gopi. He takes part in Rasa Leela.
Who?
Lord Shiva.
It's not possible because Shiva is contaminated by material energy, namely Durga.
The Lord Shiva in material world, he is
Durga
in
is
touch with
material-
material.
Are you saying that the material energy can enter into Krishna Loka?
The Lord Shiva in the material world is in connection with material energy. But in the spiritual
I'm
world,
talking about this. We're not talking about the material world.
And let me complete, Prabhu.
In there?
Yeah, it says emergency. Right here where it says emergency.
Okay.
Go on, Banu Prabhu.
So shall I say that in Krishna Loka, Shiva does not occur?
Sadashiva is
Whatever
not
happens
different from
on planet
Mahavishnu,
Earth-
Prabhu. Advaitacharya is both Shiva and Mahavishnu. If you can see, if you can refer the book.
If he is, that's only in the material world. Are you
No,
saying that Shiva,
Sadashiva means
saying
he
that
is in the spiritual
Shiva-
world. The Sadashiva
Are you-
is not in the material world. Sadashiva is only in the spiritual world,
No,
Prabhu.
that Lord Shiva cannot appear in the spiritual world.
Are you saying that Kailash is not in the spiritual world?
Of course not.
Of course it is.
Okay. So we have two views. So let's take
You
some
have to
notes
read
here.
the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Let's go in and get him.
Banu Prabhu,
Lord Shiva occurs.
Shut the door when you get out.
Lord Shiva is an incarnation, or not an incarnation. Lord Shiva is a partial expansion of Vishnu.
That is in the material world.
No,
Gunavatar is Gunavatar in the material world.
but okay, Lord Shiva is an expansion of Vishnu, a partial expansion. He is partial because he comes in contact with the material energy. The material energy does not exist in the spiritual sky. I'm thinking somebody else.
I think the material energy is troubling you, Nana Prabhu.
Sir. Over here, please. Oh, he can come out here. Yes, yes.
so Banu Prabhu, that's a good point. So we'll have to search Prabhupada's book. So let's find this. What you're saying that Advaita Acharya is who is it? Lord Shiva.
Lord Shiva and Mahavishnu.
Vinayak Prabhu, can you say that, Prabhu?
Yeah, Sadashiva and Mahavishnu.
Okay, Sadashiva and Mahavishnu. Okay, it's there in Prabhupada's Chaitanya Chaitamrita, Vinayak Prabhu?
I don't know. I read it on these ISKCON Desire Tree blogs.
Who are Panchatattva? Among who are they representing? If you check those.
Like Prabhupada gave lectures on this, like when.
But the way to understand this is from the top down. Not, we cannot be addicted to planet Earth. Okay? We cannot be addicted just to planet Earth.
What is that? Give me medicine.
I'm on a international call. Say nothing.
Like, what did they say was wrong with you?
No, nothing wrong. Nothing wrong.
Why are you bleeding?
Everything's okay.
Ramatran, can you wait half an hour? Can you wait half an hour?
Okay, because you told Rachel
you got me stuck here.
Comply with them, Narayan Prabhu. Don't go against them. Just comply with them. It will be okay.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll continue this discussion again. So Vinayak Prabhu, Banu Prabhu on another meeting. Today's Sunday. So, it looks like Narayan Prabhu is a little, busy, but we want perfect audio and perfect concentration when we discuss these things. So, Panchali Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Nice to have you on the show.
Thank you, Prabhu. I was just reading about Lord Shiva, just listening to what you were all saying, and I found a little purport from Srila Prabhupada.
Sure. From where? Can you read it?
Yes. Okay. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you reference so I can put it on the screen so everyone can see online and hear?
Yes, hang on.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Chaitamrita, where's the quote from?
It's from the Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Do you know where? What, Adi? What,
yes.
how does it go? I can look it up. Tell me, what does it say?
Okay.
Verse number, quote number.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm getting there. Just wait a second.
What? We can't hear you.
It is. No, I'm gonna have to. No, sorry. Hold on.
It's okay. Take your time.
I'm just going to Prabhupada's book, so, and just seeing if I can find it.
Oh, what are you going to read? Can you repeat a few lines?
Since Lord Shiva is the greatest soul among the living entities within this material world, his name Shiva is very auspicious for persons who identify the body with the soul. If such persons take shelter of Lord Shiva, gradually they will understand that they are not the material body, but our spirit soul. Shiva means Mangala, or all auspicious. Within the body, the soul is auspicious. I am Brahman. This realization is auspicious. As long as one does not realize his identity as the soul, whatever he does is inauspicious. Shiva means auspicious, and devotees of Lord Shiva gradually come to the platform of spiritual identification, but that is not all. Auspicious life begins from the point of spiritual identification, but there are still more duties. One has to understand one's relation with the Supreme Soul. If one is actually a devotee of Lord Shiva, he comes to the platform of spiritual realization, but if he is not intelligent enough, then he stops at that point, only realizing that he is spirit soul. But if he is intelligent enough, however, he should continue to act in the way of Lord Shiva, for Lord Shiva is always absorbed in the thought of Vasudeva. As previously explained, Sattvam, Vishnam, Vasudeva, Sabdatam. Lord Shiva is always in meditation of the lotus feet of Vasudeva Shri Krishna. Thus, the auspicious position of Lord Shiva is realized if one takes to the worship of Vishnu. Something popped up, so I just lost my thought. Lord Shiva is also always absorbed in the thought of Vasudeva, as previously said. The auspicious position of Lord Shiva is realized if one takes to the worship and meditation of the lotus feet of Vasudeva, Sri Krishna. Thus, the auspicious position of Lord Shiva is realized if one takes to the worship of Vishnu, because Lord Shiva says in the Shiva Puran that the topmost worship is worship of Lord Vishnu. Lord Shiva is worshipped because he is the greatest devotee of Lord Vishnu. One should not, however, make the mistake of considering Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu to be on the same level. That is also an atheistic idea. It is also enjoined in the Vaishnava Puran that Vishnu, Narayan, is the exalted Supreme Personality of Godhead, and no one should be compared to him as equal, even Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma, not to speak of other demigods. But I'm trying, it's very, very long, so I've got to go to more, but it was actually stated, so I'm trying to find the full conversation where backing up what Nara Narayan said, Lord Shiva, he's here in the material realm.
Okay, all right. So,
but I want to find it because when I just searched it came up with Srila Prabhupada comments. Lord Shiva is important because he is holding on his head the holy Ganga water, which has its origin in the foot wash of Lord Vishnu.
The description here is about Lord Shiva in the material world.
Does not come to the platform of spiritual identification.
Yeah, the description over here is about Lord Shiva in the material world. If you can search up Sadashiva in Srimad Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita, you can get about information.
Okay, about Sadashiva. Okay, let me just put it and see what comes up. For 1 second.
I'll go to Prabhupada's original books.
Yeah, prabhupadbooks.com. All right. Shada, S-A-D-A.
Srimad Bhagavatam.
Sada, S-A-D-A-S-H-I-V-A comes up one time. Banu Prabhu, let me see how you're spelling it.
Yeah, Sada, S-A-D-A.
Okay, let me see. Yeah, it comes up only one time, so we gotta find the keyword.
Don't give space. Try that way.
Okay.
Oh, see?
No.
So three types of Shiva in Vaikuntha. So the planet Shiva resides in is called Kailash in spiritual world, which is eternal, meaning he existed from eternal time. But that's not Prabhupada. Hang on.
Chaitanya Charitamrita, did you check, Prabhu?
Yeah, it doesn't come up. Can you punch it in real fast? See, maybe I spelled it wrong, or S-A-D-A-S-H-I-V-A.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't come up. So
check in all the books, like the lectures, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I'm searching the edited and the non-edited version of the Bhaktivedanta database. Okay.
What about the Bhagavad Gita 15:15?
15:15. Okay.
Bhagavad Gita.
Okay. 15:15. Okay, let me go there. Okay. You can start reading. I'm pulling up the verse.
No, it was just. I'm not right on Prabhupada's books. I'm just looking at reference from Google search. A keyword. But I'm thinking just where it's stated here that oh no, it's devotees of Lord Shiva that gradually come to the platform of spiritual identification. Let's go here.
In the lectures, conversations, letters.
Okay, Srila Prabhu has her hand raised, so go ahead, Prabhu. Srila Prabhu, I've unmuted you.
Yes, Prabhu. I just shared a link, and there are some references from where is this? This is referring to Chaitanya Charitamrita 679.
Okay, let me share the screen 1 second.
I mean, the link is in the chat. You can just open that.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, they've given specifically about all the three types.
Wow, excellent. So the whole thing is here. Hari Bol. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Banu Prabhu, you were saying a full-fledged Vishnu Tattva known as Sadashiva exists in Vaikuntha Loka. Sri Advaita Acharya is considered to be the Sadashiva. Vishnu Tattva Sadashiva is the material cause of the world, Mahavishnu being the efficient cause. This form, Vishnu Tattva Sadashiva, is the same as Mahavishnu. This Sadashiva is mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter 6, verse 79. See at the end, and in the Vayu Purana. As Vishnu Tattva, he has about 93% of the qualities of Krishna and is nearly similar to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. Okay, so we can discuss this. Manu Prabhu, let me see if Nara Narayan Prabhu has anything to say, because I muted him. Okay, Nara Narayan Prabhu, you can mute yourself. Now you can speak.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes, can I have my picture back too?
Sure.
So,
Talking about the organization.
Remember, we're live. Everything is being broadcasted, even the background, what's going on in the background. So, okay.
Okay. So the thing which I'd like to mention is for anyone who wants to be a devotee of Krishna, following in the lotus footsteps of Srila Prabhupada, needs to go to the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam and give up on all the religious stuff, all the sociological stuff, all the historical stuff that exists in India or anywhere else regarding the Vedic culture or Lord Shiva or Vishnu or anything. When you go to the Krishna Loka, there's Radha Krishna, then the first expansion is Balaram. After that is Vishnu. That Vishnu does not expand as Shiva until the Mahavishnu expands the bubbles, which are the material worlds. And when that happens, then Brahma enters into the bubble. And when Brahma enters into the bubble, then Vishnu comes in. The Garbhodakashayi Vishnu comes in on the couch of Ananta. It is only in the question of destruction that Shiva appears in the material universe. He does not exist outside of the material universe.
Could you pull up that quote of Chaitanya Charitamrita I just mentioned, Prabhu?
Okay.
Whatever happens on earth happens on earth. Just like the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan 5,000 years ago are not the exact duplicate of his.
No. We are not. We only stick to Radha Krishna worship, but we have to know the information about who is who and how knowledge. We just concerned about the knowledge and how we look at different personalities and different.
Lord Shiva exists in our universe. It's a smaller universe because our Brahma has only 4 heads. Some have hundreds of heads or millions of heads. But in our universe, he is there on Mount Kailash. He, from his hair, comes down the Ganges River. So he's here in the material world, functioning working with the material modes of nature. So that's Shiva. But that Shiva cannot become Vishnu again. He cannot be turned back into Vishnu, nor is he Vishnu. You see what I'm saying? Lord Shiva exists only in the material universe. He exists for destruction, and he also exists on each planet as on Mount Kailash to distribute Ganges water over the planet. Can you hear me then? Did you hear me say that?
Yes, that's loud and clear.
Yeah. So what more is there to say? If you're going to try to look at it from the bottom up and the culture of Hinduism up, what is Shiva in terms of becoming a Vaishnava? That's very indirect and from the Vaishnava point of view, from Prabhupada's point of view, completely unnecessary. There was zero necessity for people to look at the bottom-up version of Vedic consciousness. You start with the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So anyone who is a Hindu that wants to become a devotee, they
so
have
go on,
to
Prabhu,
read
just read the Chaitanya Charitamrita.
They have to.
What Prabhupada has to say.
No, from the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. When they read the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, either they agree or they disagree. Okay? Does it make sense? The Bhagavatam tells you exactly the structure of the entire everything. The first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam describes everything.
Yes, Prabhu, we have heard what you said. So we're taking everyone's realization and we're searching for it on.
World. Chaitanya Charitamrita is not necessarily useful for the neophyte Hindu. He has to go to the Bhagavatam and agree.
There's no Hindu. There's no word Hindu. So no need of discussion of Hindus over here. Hindu, from where did Hindu come into the discussion?
I'm saying anyone, because so many Hindus are joining ISKCON.
No, should I bring up the discussion of Christ if Christians are joining?
Okay.
What? If anyone who identifies as a Hindu, right now in, okay, thank you very much. Right now in India, the GBC and the ICC and the Bureau are all in conflict with each other because of this exact configuration that we're talking about right now. The ICC is essentially trying to turn ISKCON into a branch of Hinduism. And they don't know how to do it. Because they are still clinging to the idea that there are many gods, and they do not go to the first canto to see how these so-called many gods are configured. That's the most important part.
Okay, Narayan Prabhu, 1 second. Bhanu Prabhu wanted us to read this verse about Sada Shiva, and then he wanted to make a comment. So, Bhanu Prabhu.
Where is that verse from?
This verse is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 6, verse 79.
Okay, so, but before he does,
yes,
the only thing I would like to say is, first we have to accept the conclusion of the Srimad Bhagavatam, then we can discuss this. So if Bhanu is willing to accept what
if you are willing to bring the Srimad Bhagavatam verse, then we'll also discuss that, because this is what we have searched for and we found this one regarding Sadashiva. But if you are willing to get the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, we can discuss that one also, Prabhu.
No, but you cannot put the Chaitanya Charitamrita over the Srimad Bhagavatam.
The word Sadashiva in Bhagavatam says, Sadashiva appeared as Advaita Prabhu, and Advaita Prabhu's chief concern was to elevate the fallen conditioned souls to the platform of devotional service to Lord Krishna.
Okay.
So the word Sadashiva comes up in the Srimad Bhagavatam 6 times.
Okay.
And the word Sadashiva comes up 18 times in the Chaitanya Charitamrita.
What does it
what's
say?
The problem?
So
Lord Shiva exists.
No, there's a difference between Sadashiva and Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva or Shankara is the Shiva in the material world. Sadashiva is the Shiva in the spiritual world. You need to make that distinction over here.
The only question that concerns me is, do you consider Shiva to be in the spiritual world?
Anyway, if you're what do you say? If your feelings get hurt, if we make this discussion, it's okay.
Okay, let's read the purport here. What Prabhupada has to say, then we can have a discussion.
Yeah, but are you, just as a matter of principle, are you aiming at the idea that Lord Shiva exists in the spiritual world? It's a very simple question.
Yes. Sadashiva exists in the spiritual world.
Shiva exists in the spiritual world.
No, he's talking about Sadashiva. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport to the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, in the Vayu Purana, there is a description of Sadashiva in one of the Vaikuntha planets. That Sadashiva is a direct expansion of Lord Krishna's form for pastimes. So there's some reference to Lord Sadashiva in one of the Vaikuntha planets. So,
okay. And what is the name of the consort of Sadashiva? What's his female counterpart named? Is she
Mahamaya?
Is she Mahamaya?
Is it not? That's what it's saying.
Then Prabhupada says, it is said that Sadashiva, Lord Shambhu, is an expansion from the Sadashiva in the Vaikuntha planets, Lord Vishnu, and that his consort Mahamaya is an expansion of, what is this, Rama Devi or Lakshmi. Mahamaya is the origin or birthplace of the material nature.
Yes. Well, would you like an explanation or not?
Bhanu Prabhu.
I can give you Prabhupada's explanation of that. Would you like
you can,
it?
Go ahead and read the Chaitanya Charitamrita verse also, Prabhu. We should be reading 3 or 4, 5 verses to get a better explanation. All the verses.
You are trying to say that Shiva exists in Vaikuntha.
No, not Shiva. He's saying Sadashiv.
What is Sadashiva?
That's what Prabhupada is saying. Can you see the screen here, Nara Narayan Prabhu? What Prabhupada is saying? I've highlighted this part.
Oh, no, I don't see the screen.
Okay. I'll send it to you. Then maybe we can have a discussion.
No, give me a moment here.
Okay.
I have a hard time getting connection.
I mean, we should be open to having a discussion. See, referring from the scriptures, not getting personal and defensive about it.
That is not the point. The point is, what is written in Shastra? And you're confusing things that are written in Shastra.
No, Prabhu, he's not confusing things. That is Prabhupada's property here, Narayan Prabhu. He's not confusing things. Here, that's why we want you to see.
He is saying that Durga exists in the spiritual sky.
We only go by what is there. We don't add or subtract to it.
Okay, well, tell me what you think it says.
There's no thinking. We'll read all the verses. Sadashiva is mentioned.
What I heard is there is a certain Shiva in the spiritual world with Parvati as his consort. That Shiva specifically, that Vishnu and his, not Parvati, and Lakshmi Shiva is the one.
Not Lakshmi, he's the expansion. That Parvati is the expansion of Lakshmi. That's what he's saying.
Yes, but she doesn't exist in the spiritual world. She exists in the material world as an expansion. Because I will give you the simple thing and I've told it to you.
No, we can only present what Prabhupada is saying. It's up to you.
Okay.
That's correct. That's correct. If you read the last line, it does say she is the birthplace of material nature, right? So
you can look it up yourself. But what Prabhupada said is that Shiva is like, Vishnu is like milk, Shiva is like dahi,
right,
like yogurt.
That Lord Shiva is referring to Shiva in the material world.
No, Lord Shiva is in the material world. So
Donald Prabhu, could you get more quotes? Could you share the screen of other Srimad Bhagavatam verses?
When Vishnu comes in contact with the material energy, it's like milk being turned into yogurt or dahi. You can turn milk into dahi, but you cannot turn dahi back into milk. So once Shiva is established with his material consort, Parvati, that combination cannot go back to the spiritual sky because material energy doesn't enter into the spiritual sky.
No,
That's not my own idea.
We cannot understand the intricacies of the spiritual world. We cannot speculate on it that Parvati cannot be there in the spiritual world or Durga.
Parvati cannot be in the spiritual world.
We only go by what is said by Prabhupada and what's there in the scripture. We can study various quotes.
But you're rejecting what he said.
You're turning the tables on me.
Okay. 1 second. There's some confusion or there's some discussion going on here. So let's come and see what Prabhupada has to say, and let's see what Nara Narayan Prabhu has to say also, and what Bhanu Prabhu
I'm not
also
saying
has to say.
I am simply quoting the exact words of Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to find.
You can argue what you want to argue. You need to argue against Prabhupada, not against me.
Exactly. Yes.
Who is arguing against Prabhupada? Are you arguing against Prabhupada?
You are.
Or me?
I'm giving you the exact quote.
Okay, we'll refer to Prabhupada again. No, I am not arguing against Prabhupada. You're also not arguing.
I'm giving you the exact quote from Prabhupada, and you're saying it's not true.
How do you know it's exact? Because we are pulling out the exact quotes right now.
Because the material energy of Prakriti, and Prakriti means material energy, cannot leave the material universe.
No, we can go further in the discussion only if we see more quotes regarding the same point.
I'm simply telling you what Prabhupada said. If you can say that I'm lying, you can say I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, Prabhupada.
But I am saying, I am telling you the exact words that Prabhupada told me and others back in the earlier days of the movement. It was well known.
Excuse me, Prabhupada. We also have to take into consideration what Prabhupada said is that, we all have different realizations and understandings of Prabhupada's teachings.
Well, my realization doesn't matter.
We should be looking at them from many, many different angles. So one's realization doesn't necessarily mean they're wrong. It just means
we're
that
talking about Prabhupada's teaching, not anybody's real. I have no realization. I have zero realization.
But no offense, probably, but you're adamant that what you were saying is 100% correct. But from
I'm saying what Prabhupada said is 100% correct.
So
yes, of course, Prabhupada's teachings are never wrong, but us being conditioned souls, we're going to interpret things differently. So there's no
I'm not interpreting. Those are his exact words.
Yes, but we understand them differently.
Okay, so what do you mean? What do you conclude if Prabhupada says Shiva is like milk, Vishnu is like milk, but when he comes in contact with Prakriti, he becomes like yogurt. Milk can be turned into yogurt, but yogurt cannot be turned back into milk. Where's the interpretation there?
Actually, that is what we're looking at. If you were able to see the screen, Prabhupada actually talks about that and gives an explanation about what...
I'd like to do that.
And that's why the whole confusion is because Prabhupada is exactly saying what you're saying, but Prabhupada goes further.
Why are people saying
right here? I'm looking at a purport, and it said a full-fledged Vishnu tattva known as Sadashiva exists in Vaikuntha Loka. Sri Advaita Acharya is considered to be the Sadashiva, and then Vishnu tattva Sadashiva is the material cause of the world. Mahavishnu being the efficient cause, the form Vishnu tattva Sadashiva is the same Mahavishnu. And there's so much more. And this comes from the CC, Idalila 679. It goes on, same Idalila. 680 Adilila. There's actually quite a few mentions in the CC regarding this factor. So then we just have to look at that and accept that this is what Prabhupada's saying, but how do we interpret that? How do we
just have to see it and we get the point. There's no point of contemplating and discussing on it, right?
No.
We get the point that Sadashiva is the direct expansion of Lord Mahavishnu, and he is Advaita Acharya. That's what it is saying. Fully Vishnu Tattva, Sadashiva.
So we can accept that Prabhupada indeed said that Sadashiva does exist in the spiritual world and is expansion and is known as a Advaita Acharya.
Yeah. Advaita Acharya is Mahavishnu and Sadashiva. Therefore, Prabhupada is saying
So we
this.
can't deny that because Prabhupada has stated that.
Right.
All right. So let's see here. 1 second. Oh, it looks like Nara Narayan Prabhu had some technical difficulties. Okay, 1 second here. He's coming back in. All right, Nara Narayan Prabhu, welcome back. Looks like you're.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a hard time getting the link. What happens is Rupa Manjoy sent me the link she puts it, she
Yes,
texts
we understand,
it to me.
Prabhu. Yes. So
okay, so now here we are.
So can you see the screen? Can you see the translation? Yes. Okay. All right. So let's Bhanu Prabhu, what are you saying? Can you make it clear again so we can get the discussion going? Now Narayan Prabhu can see what's on the screen. So
you want me to read it or someone gonna?
I can read it. Yeah, I will read it. Yeah, but just make the point. What point are you saying? So we can have.
I'm not going to argue on it. I mean,
okay, just make the point, Prabhu. So just to recap, what you're saying. You're saying that Sadashiva is what?
Sadashiva is completely Vishnu Tattva. He's the same as Mahavishnu.
Where is that said?
Sadashiva is Advaita Acharya. That is what the verse says.
Okay.
Where? I don't read that.
Okay, so let's read the translation and purport, and then it's explained there. So let me read it.
Yes.
So this is from the Chaitanya Chaitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 6, verse 79. Rudra, who is an expansion of Sada Shiva and who appears in the unlimited universes, is also a guna avatar, qualitative incarnation, and is the ornament of all the demigods in the endless universes.
So here it is talking about Rudra. Rudra is the Shiva in the material world.
Yeah.
So again,
let me only mention guna avatar means
Rudra, who is an expansion of Sadashiva. Sadashiva is the one in the spiritual world, and Rudra, who you are talking about,
avatar
will turn into curd. That is description regarding Prabhupada giving description regarding Rudra.
You don't have to scream, just reason. So guna avatar means the three material modes of nature. Guna are the three modes of nature.
Okay, let's see the purport. Here Prabhupada saying, there are 11 expansions of Rudra or Lord Shiva. They are as follows. I don't know how to say this name.
Ajarkapat.
Yes. What's the next one?
Ahe Brad.
And next one?
Virupaksha.
And this one?
Raivata.
Hara.
Hara.
Oh, what happened? Hold on.
I lost it.
And this
Bahurupa,
one?
Devashrita, Triyambaka, Savitra, Jayanta, Binaki, and Aparajati.
Yes. Besides these expansions, there are 8 forms of Rudra called earth, water, fire, air, sky, the sun, the moon, and Soma. What is Soma Yaji? Okay. Generally, all these Rudras have 5 faces, 3 eyes, and 10 arms. Sometimes it is found that Rudra is compared to Brahma and considered a living entity. But when Rudra is explained to be a partial expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is compared to Shesha. Lord Shiva is therefore simultaneously an expansion of Lord Shiva, and in his, yes. Let me read. Lord Shiva is therefore. Huh?
We were reading a different quote before. That quote also Narayan Prabhu didn't read on the screen before.
No, this is the same one. This is the same one.
Lord Shiva is therefore simultaneously an expansion of Lord Vishnu, and in his capacity for annihilating the creation, one of the living entities. Okay, now keep going.
As an expansion of Lord Vishnu, he is called Hara, and he is transcendental to the material qualities. But when he is in touch with Tamaguna, he appears contaminated by the material modes of nature. Okay? This is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Brahma Samhita. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, it is stated that Lord Rudra is always associated with material nature when she is in the neutral, unmanifested stage. But when the modes of material nature are agitated, his associates with material nature form a distance. In the Brahma Samhita, the relationship between Lord... What happened? Okay. Where was it? In the Brahma Samhita, the relationship between Vishnu and Lord Shiva is compared to that of milk and yogurt. Milk is converted into yogurt by certain additives, but although milk and yogurt have the same ingredients, they have different functions. Okay. Similarly, Lord Shiva...
That's what Nara Narayan was just explaining.
Yes.
How you can turn milk into yogurt, but you can't turn yogurt back into milk.
Yes.
Yes, but all this is explained about Rudra, who is an expansion of Sadashiva.
Anyone who's ever cooked in the Vaishnava kitchen knows that.
Okay, let's continue. Similarly, Lord Shiva is an expansion.
No, all this explaining. If you can read the verse, the main translation, it is saying all this is explanation about Rudra, who is an expansion of Sadashiva, so that we don't misunderstand it.
Okay. Similarly, Lord Shiva is an expansion of Lord Vishnu, yet because of his taking part in the annihilation of cosmic manifestation, he is considered to be changed, like milk converted into yogurt. In the Puranas, it is found that Durga appears sometimes from the heads of Brahma and sometimes from the heads of Vishnu. The annihilator Rudra is born from Shankarshan and the unlimited fire to burn the whole creation. Ultimate fire to burn the whole creation. In the Vayu Purana, there it is, well, let me read. In the Vayu Purana, there is a description of Shiva in one of the Vaikuntha planets. That Shiva is a direct expansion of Lord Krishna's form for pastimes. It is said that Shiva, Lord Shambhu, is an expansion from the Shiva in the Vaikuntha planets, Lord Vishnu, and that his consort Mahamaya is an expansion of Ramadevi or Lakshmi. Mahamaya is the origin or birthplace of material nature. Okay? So,
yeah.
Could you again read the first, scroll up and read the main thing over there?
Oh, you mean
translation?
The translation. Okay, Rudra, who is an expansion of Shiva and who appears in the unlimited universes, is also a guna avatar, a qualitative incarnation, and is the ornament of all the demigods in the endless universes. Okay.
Yeah, so that makes clear.
Now, may we notice the word guna avatar?
Yes.
Guna avatar. What does that mean?
That is talking about Rudra as a guna avatar, but Sadashiva is there in the spiritual world.
What are the gunas?
I want to interrupt here. Guna avatar can mean that based on certain qualities, the incarnation is formed. Those qualities.
Guna means.
Guna avatar is talking about the Lord Shiva in the material world. Like Vishnu transforms into milk, transforms into curd. That is Lord Shiva. That is in the material world. But Sadashiva is non-different from fully Vishnu Tattva, non-different from Mahavishnu. That is mentioned in, if you could.
But you have to understand it. The thing is, guna avatar means goodness, passion, ignorance. Sattva gun, rajagun, tamagun.
No, speak in the sense of the spiritual world, eternal realm. Don't get into the material world.
There are no gunas in the spiritual world.
Yeah, no gunas. Sadashiva has no gunas. He's same as Mahavishnu.
Bhanu Krishnadas Prabhu, can I please ask you a question?
Yeah, Prabhu.
Do you worship Lord Shiva?
No. I see Lord Shiva from the Vaishnava perspective.
So we all
As
know
the
that
greatest
Lord
devotee of
Shiva,
Krishna.
according to Prabhupada's teachings, Lord Shiva is the greatest Vaishnava.
Foremost Vaishnava, yeah.
So we can accept that, and he's
Not
also
Lord
known as
Shiva,
demigod.
Lord Vishnu is the greatest Vaishnava.
I've read
Lord
so many.
Lord Vishnu is Krishna himself.
No,
An
all this
expansion.
thinking is coming from your Western-minded. That is, according to your culture, it's very difficult to accept the real nature of Lord Shiva, the status of Sadashiva. It's becoming difficult for you, Narayan Prabhu, to say.
It's much simpler than you think.
Okay, the meaning of Guna Avatar, Prabhupada writes, the incarnations who control the material qualities.
Yes.
So if I have to state what I understood, I'm thinking here we are still talking about the qualities of the incarnation of Lord Shiva over here, which is the expansion of Lord Vishnu. And again, if we are trying to understand the role of Shiva in various forms and Lord Vishnu, we know that it's all coming down from Krishna. So I still don't get where is this.
It's coming from Krishna via Balaram, via Vasudev, via the three other expansions of Vishnu.
Yeah, this information is coming via Srimad Bhagavatam, via Prabhupada.
Described in this verse. One of the expansions of Vishnu becomes a Guna avatar, and that means in contact with material energy. Krishna never comes in contact with material energy. Unless you think I'm just making that up.
I don't need to convince you. I only need to state what Prabhupada is saying.
Yes, but do you understand what he said?
There is also this thing that they say that Adishesha is Balaram in one particular incarnation, and then some places Shesha is also referred to Lord Shiva. So I'm not very clear on what that is. Over here there is a mention of it. So anything that you know about that?
Okay, one thing at a time, because we're juggling too many things here. So the discussion is going to another question. So let's figure things out first. Srila Prabhu, your question can come later. So.
Okay, but can we agree that there are bubbles that come out of Mahavishnu that become material universes?
Yes.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Can we agree that Lord Shiva does not exist outside of those bubbles? Except he becomes into those bubbles. Once he's there, he does not leave. He doesn't go back to Vaikuntha.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Because yogurt doesn't turn back into milk.
Yes.
So it's pointless to think of Shiva as to having anything to do with anything outside of material universes. He doesn't exist outside of the material universes. He originates as Vishnu, goes into the material universes, gets hooked up and has fun with Parvati, as you can see in so many pieces of Indian art. But that combination makes it impossible for him to return to being Vishnu again. Or
even
her
if
to
Krishna
Parvati again.
Even if Krishna is saying by his words and Prabhupada is repeating, it becomes impossible. Huh? Narayan Prabhu?
What?
Just if you're adamant that Lord Shiva cannot be in the spiritual world, he cannot be in the spiritual world, and by your arguments you convince the other person to say from their mouth, does that become the eternal?
Can you go a little slower? You're speaking almost very intensely. Can you explain nicely in such a way that anybody, any school child will understand it, what you're saying?
Just slow down your speaking, Banu Krishna Das Prabhu.
No, we just read from the
very fast.
Srimad Bhagavatam that Sadashiva is the Rudra is the origin. Sadashiva is the origin of Rudra, the Lord Shiva in the material world. That Rudra or Lord Shiva in the material world is the yogurt coming from milk, like which milk transforming into yoga. That example can be given to Rudra in the material world. In the spiritual world, Sadashiva, this is Mahavishnu. It's non-different. It's completely Vishnu Tattva. We just read the word. We just seen that. You should.
He is the Mahavishnu that becomes Shiva. Specifically, it's not that Shiva comes out of any. There are unlimited Vishnus. Have you seen the picture of the spiritual sky? It's surrounded by those glowing, transparent, effulgent globes called Vishnu planets. And then you see in the middle is Krishna Loka on the cover of the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's very easy to see. Krishna, everything expands from Krishna to Baladev down to Vishnu. From Vishnu, he expands further. Mahavishnu creates the material universes. Other Vishnus inhabit unlimited planets, which are full of jivas that are in eternal rasas with Vishnu, in the mood of awe and reverence. It is formal worship, whereas in Krishna Loka, the worship is informal or spontaneous. Okay, I mean, where's the difficult part? The thing to remember is just imagine there is Vishnu, there's bubbles that are material universes. Imagine that Vishnu is going to go into the bubble and interact with the material energy, Prakriti. He goes
not
down
in the bubbles. He's the one creating bubbles. That's what he said. Sadashiva is Mahavishnu.
No, he's not. The Mahavishnu is Vishnu, not Shiva.
It's okay. There's no point for discussion. If you say it's not, it's okay. We'll accept.
Well, where do you see that Mahavishnu is Shiva?
Actually, it's saying the other way around, Bhanu Prabhu. If you read it here, that Sadashiva is a direct expansion of Lord Krishna's form for pastimes. It is said that Sadashiva...
Yes, Sadashiva does take part in Krishna's pastimes. That's what it is saying.
It is said that Sadashiva, Lord Shambhu, is an expansion from Sadashiva in the Vaikuntha planets, Lord Vishnu. So it's saying that that Sadashiva is an expansion of Lord Vishnu. See it?
Yes.
It's not
Vishnu
saying that...
Tattva, it is completely Vishnu Tattva. It said that.
Yeah, because it's Lord Vishnu himself here. It's saying right here that it's
in the
saying
Vaikuntha
here,
planets.
It is said that Sadashiva, Lord Shambhu, is an expansion from the Sadashiva in the Vaikuntha planets, Lord Vishnu.
Yeah.
So it's not Shiva, it is the potential of becoming Shiva. But it's Vishnu who can become Shiva as opposed to Vishnu who does not become Shiva.
Yes.
So that straight line of Shiva comes down. But now, could I ask you, Bhanu?
Yeah, can I read this? Can I read this, Prabhu, before?
I was going to ask you a real
in the Vayu
question
Purana,
right now.
there is description of Sadashiva in one of the Vaikuntha planets. That Sadashiva is a direct expansion of Lord Krishna form for pastimes.
Okay.
In one of the Vaikuntha planets, it's saying. So that's in the spiritual world. Is a direct expansion of Lord Shiva's form for pastimes. That means if he's taking part in Lord Shiva's form for pastimes, he is there in the Krishna Loka as Gopishwar.
So you're
one of the gopis.
No. Vishnu is never in Krishna Loka.
Not Vishnu, it is Sadashiva.
Shiva is an expansion of Vishnu.
Yeah, that's exactly
Shiva
stated.
Does not. I don't know what Sunday school you learned all this stuff in India, but the actual fact is Shiva has no relationship to Krishna Loka whatsoever. Krishna Loka is just
Lord Shiva has a temple of Gopishwar Linga. It is well-known fact, documented fact that Lord Shiva is Gopishwar in the Krishna's pastimes as a gopi.
In Krishna Loka or on earth?
Krishna Loka.
Where is it stated that?
Is there any reference to Bhanu Prabhu you're saying or Nara Narayan Prabhu, any reference to what you're saying. Bhanu Prabhu is saying that Gopeshwara Mahadev participates in the Vrindavan pastimes with Krishna.
In Krishna Loka
Goloka
or in
Vrindavana.
India? In India or Krishna Loka?
Krishna Loka, Prabhu.
In Krishna
Where is it
Loka.
stated? Show where it is stated.
Okay.
You can't just make it up.
I didn't make it up.
So Bhanu Prabhu,
show me where is it written?
So could we refer to another verse, some other verses of
I am
Sadashiva?
not a Hindu. I follow Prabhupada, not Hinduism.
We follow Hinduism, therefore I'm speaking.
In a lecture in Mayapur, April 1st, 1975, it was a lecture on the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela 1.12.
Yes.
As Chaitanya Charitamrita is explaining, we have to follow this principle. Then if you're really inquisitive to learn the absolute truth, they will explain. And here it is explained that Advaita Acharya is Ishvara, his incarnation of Mahavishnu. Sometimes Advaita Acharya is called Sadashiva avatar. The Sadashiva is also expansion of Mahavishnu. So either way, you say incarnation of Sadashiva or Mahavishnu, it doesn't matter. But Advaita Acharya is Vara.
No, it is not told that he is an incarnation. He is Sadashiva and he is also Mahavishnu, it says. It doesn't say he is an incarnation of Mahavishnu.
This is confirmed in Prabhupada. I'll share the link to you.
Advaita Acharya exists in Krishna Loka.
Yes, Lord Chaitanya stays in the spiritual world, Gaura.
Yes,
Gauranga.
Does Advaita Acharya have pastimes in Krishna Loka?
You think now Panchatattva doesn't have, are not there in the spiritual world?
Krishna Loka. Have you ever heard of Krishna Loka?
I don't know about the Krishna Loka, but they are there in the spiritual world.
Well, you should try to understand Krishna Loka. Krishna Loka is for Krishna and Radha are the highest beings in every form or existence of God. From them expand all the Vishnu, Balaram, and from Balaram expands all the Vishnu forms. And there's unlimited Vishnu forms in the spiritual sky, which is called the Brahman or Brahma Jyoti. Or Brahma Jyoti means the light of Brahman.
Okay, so we're over at 10 o'clock, so can we wrap this up? Because I have to go. So our discussion will continue again on, when was it, Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay, but have we resolved anything regarding the existence of Shiva in Krishna Loka?
It's okay, we have resolved it.
We have?
I don't think so, but Hare Krishna Prabhu.
So have you concluded that Shiva exists in Krishna Loka?
Whatever you say, it's concluded.
Well, you can be silly, but what is the answer? Do you believe that Shiva exists in Krishna Loka?
No, I wanted Donald Prabhu to share some more quotes.
We will share this.
Bhanu, do you, and Shreya, do you have a copy of the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam?
We do. We do have a copy, but we're not going to discuss right now. We'll have to come back.
Here, I mean in their houses.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Why not study the Srimad Bhagavatam? The first couple of chapters will resolve everything we've been squawking about on this call.
All right.
Yeah,
so
all right.
We'll squawk later.
To me, it's annoying because it's obviously some sort of.
Let's give it 1 month time to read Srimad Bhagavatam and come out.
Hindu belief trying to invade Krishna Loka with Shiva, which isn't possible. Next, you'll have Durga running around in Krishna Loka.
So Brahma, Nityananda, everyone, you'll name them as Hindu according to your own ease.
I'm not a Hindu. You are.
Well, you're a Christian. You can't bring material topics also relating to Christianity.
Okay, Prabhu, let's not get carried away. We'll continue our meeting on Wednesday.
Can I just give one quote from Prabhupada?
Prabhu, we should be talking on the platform of Jiva, not Hindu or Christianity. You're forgetting.
We are all devotees of Krishna, whether we realize this or not. And these little disputes, like I mean, it's good to talk about, but I don't see the point of all the debating and the arguing. If we can't come to any realization together, then we can just
The realization is not required. But we
have to respect that Prabhupada is our authority.
Do you accept
Prabhupada? Everything he says in his books is valid and it's absolute.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Exactly, Mataji. Hare Krishna.